to our sight. This is where we start the process of taking back our children. They are our children, given to us by a choice made between two people in love and proof of a miracle. A child made from two people, a woman selfishly giving her body up for 9 months to grow and nurture human life and then to bear excruciating pains to bring that baby to our world. A father, the protector, is a strong individual whose job is to at all costs protect the children from evil and harm. The rules and purpose were established in the Bible. It was a miracle, and we are just letting these demons come to our sanctuaries, criticize our lives, insult our roles as parents, and take our kids, never faltering. Yes, we kick and yell, but at the end, the kids are still gone and life of emptiness begins. That sounds so un-American, but more so ungodly. He is pissed those kids are for our entrance to heaven and we are giving them away. Not anymore. It's time to square the devil in the face and take back what rightfully belongs to us, something that only our Maker can do, and won't if you show your faith. CPS is stealing children around the world for profits, and your government is with them. The system is rigged. You can be perfect in every way. We all were in our children's eyes. It won't matter. These are economically inside kidnappings. You need to understand that. True, there are times when intervention is necessary, but that is not who they target. So stop putting yourself down or someone you know who lost a child to CPS. Stand up or stand them up and fight. Fight like a bear would if the cub is trying to be harmed. Learn from the simplicity of animals, which we are far more advanced and way more backward. The children are the future, not a number on a budget report, not an estimated worth. They are our flesh and blood and made from a miracle. Now that you know what's going on, stand with us and fight so no other children will be used as slaves to the system that we are supposed to control. Shame on us. Time to make it right in your home in God's eyes.
Be prepared to hear what CPS is, and after listening, please be ready to act, for we need everyone for this one. This is a problem that affects every person in the world because the protection of our children and the sanctity of family is a universal human right. It is time to take a stand and demand that CPS be held accountable for their actions. The corruption has run rancid, and our children, the future of the human race, are being depleted by trafficking and family ancestry being erased. Not to mention the broken hearts and river of tears left behind in the wake of family annihilation. Why? For what? Money. Money for the soul of a child, and this is determined by a person inexperienced in more ways than one, yet our system allows them to play God. What have we become as a society, when the cries of children fill pockets with riches and breaks hearts of family and we the people do nothing? How do we turn our backs on an issue as disgusting as this? No person should sleep comfortably knowing this is happening. Children crying for their families while CPS employees celebrate their cash bonuses, high-fiving in the halls of justice. Think this is a lie? Look at Social Security Act Title IV and Safe Families Act. They promote the caseworkers to quickly steal these children from loving families in record times. And what did these families do so wrong? Most of them nothing. Have you ever noticed the children that die have been called upon as many as 30 times? That's because there is no money in children who have already been spoiled by true abuse or born to true drug addicts. No one pays top dollar for that. The money is in the perfect blonde-haired, blue-eyed good family and upbringing. Yes, instant family. Just add kid for whatever price they ask. No one is out of reach from these demons, and they must be held accountable for their crimes against innocent families. How are judges so freely letting children be erased from the heritage they are entitled to? They inflict on the family the same level of punishment given to a murderer or person society has to eliminate, as they are so wretched existence is no longer favorable. Termination of parental rights is the equivalent to the death penalty in more than one way. Think about that for just a moment. Do you know someone who has lost their children, and if so, is the death penalty a worthy and just punishment? That is on the adults. Why do the children then get punished as well? This system is itself cruel and unusual punishment. This is America. We don't treat living people in such heartless ways. For all this to happen, it's corruption from the ground to the White House. That is the truth. Together, we can raise awareness about the injustices done by CPS and fight for the rights of our children.
There are so many of us affected by CPS corruption, yet we isolate ourselves in shame. Not anymore. AbolishCPS.com has been created to show with force what has happened to us is wrong, and we are not remaining silent. We are the parents of those children you have wrongfully taken. We stand to abolish CPS. All right. All right. Sorry about that slow take there. This is Darren Guay calling you, CPS Punisher, live right here from abolishcps.com. We're here tonight with my special hostess, Miss Dr. Fowler. She's here from the heart of the nation there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the land of not so much freedom anymore, right, Dr. Fowler?
Good evening. Correct.
So tonight, Dr. Fowler, we got a special guest. We got Mr. Rick Martin, Constitutional Law Group, man. He is the man that is fighting these people back with us, the Child Protective Services, the government, the people that are trying to push us down into tyranny. I mean, this guy is a machine. He goes through judges, he goes through caseworkers, he goes through anybody that gets in his way that help us defend our Constitution. And this is the guy that we need on our side in this fight. Rick Martin, how you doing?
Peace, love, my friends.
Rick. Yes. All right. Rick,
you can hear me, right?
Tell us a little bit about
pleasure to hang out with you guys. It's been a struggle to get online tonight. Tell me I'm coming through.
Right. If anybody even knew the amount of trouble that we just went through. You are loud and clear, Rick. You're very loud and clear.
Well,
Rick, tell people just a little bit about you, my man.
Well, I started. I studied law. Once I realized my government was absolutely corrupt. I've been studying law for well over 30 years. I started the Constitutional Law Group after about 5 years of law study in 1996, and the Constitutional Law Group has come to the aid of many. And we don't charge a fee for time. We show up in court. We fight for you. We know the Constitution better than most bar attorneys ever dreamed of. If you talk to any bar attorney, they'll tell you they only spent 1 week learning about the Constitution. Most of the time, they learned about procedure. And we learn about the Constitution and how to use the Constitution to defend the rights of we the people. The Constitution was never put there to give we the people our rights. The Constitution was there to put government in check. The Constitution, every public servant swears an oath of office to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution. And every time they trespass on it, that's called an act of war against the Constitution, which is an act of treason. The majority of our public servants to this day don't even know the Constitution, for which they swore an oath to uphold, protect, and defend. And instead, they usurp the Constitution, which puts them acting in war against the Constitution, which acts as a war against we the people, which is an act of treason. And if we, the people, do not stand up as the fourth branch and the most powerful branch of government and start taking back our republic form of government, we will lose this great nation for which our founding fathers fought and died for. And I'll leave it at that.
Jesus, Rick, that's some powerful words. People don't understand. People are not understanding what's going on in this country. People aren't understanding that every day, these people that we vote into office, and that's the key word here too, is vote into office, that they're not doing their jobs, but no one's holding them in check, right? Like, Rick, what gives you your strength to fight for these things every day when you know that these people that we are putting in there to play these roles aren't doing so? Like, what makes you say so fired up and strong about this?
Okay, let's keep in mind, the Declaration of Independence was signed by 56 men. Those 56 men pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor not to betray the American people. And not one of them betrayed the American people or their oaths to the American people. 5 of those men were captured, brought back to England, and were tortured to the end of the war. 9 of those men died on the battlefield of their wounds. The majority of the signers that signed that Declaration of Independence, their wives and offspring were murdered, 17 of which their homes were burnt to the ground. The majority of those signers were left at the end of the Revolutionary War penniless. Now, in this day and age, we have judges, prosecutors, police officers that betray their oath of office that quick and don't even blink an eye of what our founding fathers fought for, died for, and bled for. And we allow this as American people. It is our fault because we allow them to violate their oath of office without thinking twice. And it's up to we, the people, to take back this nation county by county. And how we start that is all we have to do is on a Sunday morning, we show up at the county church or our local church and we speak to the pastor teacher. And we say, Pastor teacher, at the end of your sermon, may we have 15 minutes to address the congregation. And that's where we start. We have to rebuild county by county, and we have to get our sheriffs on board. And currently, they're after our sheriffs right now to take away their teeth, because the county sheriff is, like your president, like your governor, he is the president of that county. And we got to keep that in mind.
And so what can people do to make sure that they keep these people in check in those counties? Like, where does this begin? The voting booths? The local
Absolutely
politicians?
not.
Where does it start?
Bottom line is, the moment they violate their oath of office to the Constitution. Now, remember what I said. The Constitution does not give us our rights. It limits government from trespassing on those rights. So the moment they trespass on it, we go after what's called their indemnity bond, and their oath of office. So how we hold them accountable, for them to be in office, they must have an indemnity bond. So we do a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act 1976. We file with the clerk of the court to get their indemnity bond. And that's how we hold them accountable. Before, the way it used to be before we had bonds is, let's say you wanted to be a governor. You had to have 1,000 acres. You had to have skin in the game. If you harmed the public, we got to take away from you what you had to pay for that crime against your oath of office. Not only did we also hang you, because that was wrong against the Constitution.
Right. No, that's it. Fowler, you're sitting there in the city of America that starts the Constitution, where everything happens, right there in Philadelphia. What kind of questions do you have for Rick about this? I mean, because we talk about the sheriffs and men in trenches. We talk about the importance of that. What do you got? What kind of questions do you have for Rick in this constitutional debacle that we have in this country?
Sure. Well, Rick, you mentioned the sheriff's office.
Absolutely.
Can you say more about the role that the sheriff's office could play to help the citizens in the movement that you're talking about?
He's a constitutional officer. He works for the executive branch of your county. Okay? What they're trying to do is they're trying to move the sheriffs into the judicial branch under the court system. Wrong. Can't do that. It's totally unconstitutional. And if you see what's been happening in Delaware with the sheriffs there, they actually went through the Supreme Court of Delaware, which is insane that they're trying to move him to where he doesn't have arrest powers.
Right. And right now he's the most important person in our as far as the citizens.
Right. No judge, no mayor. Judges and mayors and all those, they go back to the judicial branch. Okay? A mayor is actually a judge, whether you knew it or not. Okay? That goes back to the judicial. Now, then what they're trying to do is bypass a Supreme Court ruling, number one, which is Marbury versus Madison, 1803. I want you guys to lock this into your minds. Marbury versus Madison, 1803. Chief Justice John Marshall clearly stated in the Supreme Court ruling, any law, now remember, how does a law become law? It's voted on by the legislation. And then you also have to do an Article 5 on it, which takes a big deal. Okay? Policies are not law. Let's keep that in mind. For any law to become law, it must be voted on by the legislation. Now, let's go back to Marbury versus Madison. It states quite clearly, any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is no law, has no force of law, and can be ignored. Half the things you think are law are not law, never have been law. They're all policies. Policies only apply to government servants. They do not apply to the people. But wait a minute, Rick, I don't work for the government.
Wait a minute, Rick, I don't work for the government.
Time out. You've been usurped and you didn't even know it. What do you think that Social Security number is?
Our government number, right? Isn't that the number that we get from the government?
It is a government retirement benefit. You have been usurped. Now, that is a government retirement benefit. Okay? Now, keep this in mind. Did you ask for that government benefit? No. Did you get full disclosure on that benefit? No. Any contract that does not give full disclosure is null and void. So what they've done is they've BS'd us into believing that we're government employees. That's how we have to go by these statutes and codes. Because statutes and codes only apply to what? Government servants.
That's right.
Not we the people. We the people tell the government what to do. They're our servant. We're endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights. We don't have civil rights. Civil rights are for government employees. What people didn't realize is when they rewrote the Constitution in 1871 after the War of Secession, everybody wants to call it the Civil War. There was nothing civil about it. That was the War of Secession. People believe it was to end slavery. Nonsense. Had nothing to do with it. What happened after the War of Secession was we all became slaves. The plantation encompassed all of us, made us all corporate citizens under a corporate government. That's where we have to break away from that plantation and decide, do we want government benefits or do we want our sovereignty back? And our sovereignty is more valuable because that was what was endowed to us by our Creator. We created government to be our servant, not our master. And we've gotten lost along the way. And when we recapture, it's not reestablishing your status. That's all nonsense. Well, I'm a U.S. national. Knock it off. Knock that off. That's just the whole U.S. national terminology didn't even come into play until 1878. So how does that supersede the Constitution? We're either a man or a woman. Of course, nowadays we don't know because we're so many genders. Do you see how Satan plays this game?
Yeah, that's.
What is? Hold on. You're a man, and just face it. What is a woman? What's the word "woman" even mean? It's a man with a womb.
The man with the woes of man.
No, it's a man with a womb. In other words,
right. Okay. Right.
Give birth to offspring. Okay. God created man. Then woman was created from Adam. So if you go into biblical principles, man is the head, woman is the foot. but they both need each other.
Right. That's the only way that we can create. Without the woman, you can't.
Right.
You can't create.
Absolutely.
Right.
With an offspring is our biological property, not our children. See, family courts like to use children. I like to use the word offspring, biological property. Now that sounds cold, but those are the facts. That is my biological property until they reach the age of majority, which is 18.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're dealing with, like your case, whenever you're dealing with a case, by what authority does the state, which I created to protect my unalienable rights, have the right to trespass on those unalienable rights and steal my biological property, my offspring, for their gain? Because that's what it is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sure
And
is.
then what do they do with the offspring? They sell them off for $30,000 a pop. Do I know this for a fact? Yes, I do. That's why I was able to put CPS agents and judges in prison. They were selling people's biological property. They would attack poor families, and they would target certain offspring that were beneficial to their pedophile friends for $30,000 a pop. Can I back it up with paperwork? You bet your biscuits I can, all day long.
There we go, Rick. That's one of the artworks I made for you for my shirts. Give me my biological property. Under what authority were they taken? That's available at the abolishcps.com shirt store.
Absolutely.
But those are those shirts that I made for you with the little, the babies getting taken and everything, because that's such a powerful question. What authority do they have? They have none. This is a voluntary contract. It's all null and void from the face. It's not law. It's not even policy, for Christ's sakes. They are just stealing our freaking kids.
Yes, and they're for nefarious reasons.
I mean,
nefarious reasons.
It's all about money, all about dollars and cents, man, and it makes no sense.
Oh no, it's not just about money. It's not just about money.
There's more.
You have a bunch of sycophants that are into child sacrifice and child trafficking. Like I said, when I came across this, I was independently wealthy.
Right. I was going to say,
what made you?
I was just going to ask you. I said, you were all set, dude. Why'd you come out and get into this fight?
Well, a subordinate of mine came to me and said, LT, they stole my daughter, 6-year-old blonde-haired, blue-eyed daughter. And I traveled 4 hours down to Padre Island, and that's when I began to uncover the child trafficking going on. And once I got into it, there was no turning back. And when you see what's really going on in the real world, you start coming across all the satanic stuff going on, the pedophilia going on, the corruption in the family court going on. And how can I go back to retirement and playing golf every day when I know this is going on? I can't do that.
No, that's admirable, Rick. And you know what? We need your help in this fight. This is the thing, is we all talk about them getting, in the perfect world, it's sad, it's this, and they go to a foster home. That would be wonderful if that's what was going on here. But there's so much more of what you're talking about that's going on here than what the reality is. You know what I'm saying? Like these groups are selling these children. This is not a joke, people, and these people need to understand this, because I don't think that the American public is getting involved because they think that this is all set. They think the government's doing right. They're taking kids from these families and they're just moving them along to another foster family, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's absolutely the wrong idea. It's the wrong concept. It's the wrong everything. There's children missing in every state. Every state, this number is growing and growing and growing, but nobody's paying attention. They want to worry about what's going on in these other countries. Open your eyes. In the United States, this is going on right here.
It's the biggest one. It's the biggest trafficker. Now, by the grace of God, people like Mel Gibson, Jim Caviezel, and Denzel Washington are waking up to what's going on. And, I've been in close contact. As a matter of fact, when I met Jim Caviezel, I was in Washington State doing a speech at a family farm with probably about 700 people listening. And I was up on the porch speaking to these people, and Jim Caviezel heard I was going to be there and wanted to speak to me. And that's when he started realizing, and I made him aware of the child trafficking, because he had been trying to get a movie out the same time back in 2016 when I came out of retirement about child trafficking.
Yeah.
And we had a long discussion on how serious it is and to what extent. And, this, I don't even think the audience could be even ready to hear what I have to say.
Right. The United Nations says that 87% of the kids that are found in these trafficking situations came through Child Protective Services in the United States. 87%, and that's a number from out of the United Nations. So when everybody thinks that our kids
and they lie,
safe home, right? It's probably more than that. It's probably 100%, to be perfectly honest.
No, it's not 100%. Not 100%.
The good of the children are not in place for what's going on in this country. It's about money. It's about money and parts. That's what it is. I mean, they're selling these children, and people need to be made aware of this.
Look at the Clintons' involvement in this.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to Haiti, they got busted. The woman that was working for them got busted twice. Okay, but nobody's doing anything about it, because you got to realize your judges, a lot of your law enforcement. I hate using the word law enforcement because that didn't even come into play until 1966. But people that you think are there to protect you are so entrenched in child trafficking that you wouldn't believe. People that judges, prosecutors, cops, police chiefs, there's a lot of dirty actors in this. Mm-hmm. And it's very dangerous for people like me to expose it.
Right. Well,
but it's very real. How can you live with yourself when you know what's going on? Mm-hmm. These babies are being tortured for adrenochrome.
Yep.
And what they do is they terrify a baby. And they will throw a baby on a barbecue pit.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen videos of this stuff.
Right.
It's absolutely sick and satanic.
Yep.
To gain the adrenochrome. What happens? Let's explain where adrenochrome comes from. Is when you scare a child, what happens is all those endorphins flood into the blood, and they drink the blood of these children.
Yep. And it gives them a refreshed feeling, a new feeling.
It's like their fountain of youth.
Correct.
Okay. These are true vampires.
Yep.
True vampires.
This is not a war this is a war. First of all, it's a holy war. It's a spiritual war. People don't understand what is going on here. And I think that they need to be woken up to the realities of this. And this is why I wanted to talk to you, because yes, there's a part of let's go fight them in the constitutional law. But look at the fat of this, man, and the disgustingness. The pedophiles are running free in this country. They go right to the White House. Right into the front door they go. And these people that want to sit there and talk about Trump being an ass, no way. 1600 Pennsylvania right now is housing pedophiles, just fuming up there. They're drinking adrenochrome. Look at his eyes. His eyes got the dark circles right under him all the time. That's when you know he's strung out from the stuff. It's disgusting that nobody is helping. Nobody's standing up for this. They all think that we're in the box, tinfoil conspiracy, all of this stuff.
It's far from tinfoil conspiracy, because we have so much evidence. Just like Dr. Dave Martin and I, before they started doing the close down, we had all the evidence that the whole COVID-19 was a scamdemic. It was brought in as a Trojan horse to bring in the economic collapse of America. And who do they target? Mom and pop businesses, sole proprietorships. They shut them down. And as I spoke earlier, is it's amazing how mom and pop's hardware store had to shut down, but Home Depot and Lowe's, they were still open. Walmart was still open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Profiting by hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
Hundreds
and
of billions.
they all profited off the decline of small business America, which is the backbone, the financial structure of America. And
which is now our food is being processed. Monsanto's, all those groups are now taking over the farms.
Yeah, okay.
It's disgusting. Like our food is plastic and disgusting, gross things. Like people are not paying attention to what's happening. I mean, and the fact that they're saying that, that they look, this end is coming very quickly, and people just need to wake up and realize. And the way that this starts is our children. We need to take our children back from these people. That is the starting point. We need to take
our counties back. That's where we got to start. We need to have a constitutionally correct sheriff in office. We need to go to our county churches, like I was saying, or town churches, and start talking to the pastor teacher and start getting the congregations behind us, and we go march on the sheriff to do their job. Yeah. Stand up for we the people. We need to build stronger communities. Get to know your neighbor. There's so many people that don't even know their neighbor next door, people that live in these
subdivisions. Right, because the scandemic made us all stay apart, stay 6 feet away, get away from them, segregate yourselves. But you know what I'm saying? This is forcing it upon you and making it so scary. Don't go talk to anybody. Wear a mask. Hide yourself. Stay out of sight. Stay out of the public eye. They've done all of this to make all of us spread apart, because strength in numbers is the way that it works. I started this new thing because what I'm trying to do is get these people together in America that have had their children taken. And even if you haven't, you need to join the fight with us.
Absolutely.
I've partnered up with the hashtag Justice Move, with Malibu Dallas. Like, all of us have pulled ourselves together. I like to call it the A-team of this child protective correction.
Let's get rid of the word child.
Okay, our biological property, stealing and all of this stuff. But I've started this movement, and I'm calling Pack It Up, because it takes after the wolves. Like, the wolves are fine on their own. They are vicious. There are so many little satellite groups trying to make it and fight this CPS battle. You can't do it by yourself. You need all of us together. The only way the strength is going to work.
United you stand, divided you fall.
Right. Exactly. So I'm trying to start this thing. Like I said, it's called Pack It Up. I have a graphic here for it. I'm trying to pull that up and pull it together. And you can see all that stuff at abolishcps.com. But I want people signing up, going to my sites, getting together so that we can all prove in masses of numbers that we're nobody to be messed with.
Absolutely. And you've got to come up with some fundraisers. And I'm going to tell you that right now. That the reason why they attacked me and took away my millions when they froze my bank account, you well knew before I even started this mess, I was worth just under $7 million.
Yeah.
And when they froze my accounts, they figured that was going to stop me, because I already spent over $500,000 of my own fortune, doing the Reopen America tour.
Yep. No, I know.
Where we have to start, and you start small. And like I always tell people, buy somebody a cup of coffee, buy a few people a cups of coffee, and put that into the kitty. You start a group, you get it moving forward. You're gonna need funding, especially when you're filing paperwork against our officials. When you start making claims against them, it's going to take money. And stay away from bar attorneys.
Right. Well, you figure these people have so much money, it's ridiculous. They got money handed out, they got money hand over fist that's available to them. They have it's crazy. So look, I got this right here. This is what I got. I got support this stream here. If you hit this little doohickey, the QR code, it'll send you to a place that you can donate money to help us out with what we do, because these things cost money. Just doing this with me and you, like this stuff isn't free, and we're trying to get the point across to people, and we need to. So, hey guys, if you can help us out with this, go ahead and click this QR code, send us some money to help us continue fighting. Hey Rick, why don't we take a 2-minute break here? Let's come right back with some more things. Maybe we'll get some people on some chat asking some questions.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back, guys. Let's do this one. There we go. All right, here we are back here live with Rick Martin, the Constitutional Law Group man. Rick, let me get this thing out of your face here. Sorry about that. Guys, just one more time, if you want to donate to us, please hit on this right here. This is the money to help us with our stream. We're here with Dr. Fowler. Dr. Fowler's in the house. Hey, Rick, Dr. Fowler's a huge advocate of the militia, right, Dr. Fowler? Dr. Fowler says in every one of our shows, we need to get the militia together. We need the militia to stand for us, to fight for us, and all this.
The militia is well established in the Constitution. The right to militia. Now, the militia, keep this in mind, the militia was there to keep everybody straight. And now the word militia has become a bad word because of the media. Think of it that way. Oh, crazy militia guy. Well,
right.
The bottom line is everybody was supposed to be part of the militia. Every able-bodied man was supposed to be part of the militia. From the age 15 to 45 was supposed to be part of the county militia. And that's how we were supposed to keep the government in check. The government is so out of check right now. Why do you think they don't want the militia? Right. And why do you think it is so important that we get with our county sheriffs and we take back our county and we rebuild our militia for self-protection of our counties?
Mm-hmm. To protect our rights.
The sheriff was there to protect the county from intrusive government, was it not?
Yeah, that's what they're supposed to be there for.
Absolutely.
They're supposed to be there to deliver they're our last line of defense between the government overrunning us and not. They are that line of defense.
They are the conservator of the peace.
Mm-hmm. And they're the ones they're not even a liaison. They're supposed to be the enforcers of that, correct?
Absolutely. They're of the executive branch, mm-hmm. which they're trying to push into the judicial branch as teethless. They're trying to take away their arrest powers, like what they did in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the insanity of what's going on. But see, if you know history and you follow the Constitution and you hold your public servants accountable by their oath of office, I keep saying that oath of office is the linchpin that we hang them all by.
Rick, what happens if we lose the sheriffs? What happens if we lose the sheriffs?
Well, you're still the fourth branch of government. We, the people, are over all government. Government was created by we, the people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And like in the Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, clearly states all power is retained by the people. That's simple. We, the people, have control. And we need to take back control from a runaway Frankenstein that we allowed to be created in our name.
I mean, these people's job was to make sure that we got to live free, right? That was the government was supposed to be there to make sure that our rights as Americans were protected, that our freedoms were protected, that we should move. You know, it's not a crime unless someone's committed a, you know, unless you're an injured party, things like that. There weren't speeding tickets. There weren't any of these things involved in this original. Of course, there weren't cars, but there were not things that we,
it didn't
that
matter.
Taken and
Bottom line is government was there to what?
Watch our boundaries and make sure we had freedom, man. That was it.
And control commerce. And we didn't have taxation. What we did, what the government's duty was to issue tariffs on imports. So anything that was imported or that was engaged in commerce, government got a piece of the pie. That's how government was funded.
Right. And that started
taxation.
Right. And that started, didn't the taxation thing started like during the Civil War, correct? With Abraham Lincoln.
No.
Some sort of tax or something. That's what I've heard.
Taxation, I mean, is.
Well, I know taxation goes back to no taxation without representation.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Taxation came after World War I, and actually during World War I, and it was voluntary. Okay. And then all of a sudden, it's still voluntary, by the way.
Right.
Now, there's some things going on in my realm that I'm looking at very highly, and I'm not going to try to give too much out of the box, but you remember that there's 85,000 new IRS agents that were brought into play?
I heard that. I've heard that.
Well,
I also heard they're going to try to start giving them guns.
I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, I don't know why.
Why is that?
I believe with what we're doing with the court system, we're about ready to start holding.
Yeah, they're going to be busy. Yeah, they're going to be busy.
We're going to start holding these judges and prosecutors accountable. And I think this is the way we can clean up the judicial system. And by putting these judges, prosecutors in prison.
Right. They got a lot of income. They got a lot of income that's secretly going into their pockets at
violation of, there's a lot of violations going on in the court system. So, and each courthouse is privately owned. Look it up yourself. Right. They all have a Dun and Bradstreet number. Look that up as well.
Do you know in the state of Maine, they've made a super center now. So all the courts have converged into this one spot, which I'm pretty sure that breaks the rules. And that's how you would get jurisdiction to make sure that you're in the right place, the right atmosphere. They've pulled everything together now, you know, for all of these counties and all this stuff they're trying to eliminate. They're just bit by bit, they're just taking away the rights that we had and the freedoms that we had and the insurance of these freedoms.
They're chiseling away, and they've been doing it for decades. Keep that in mind. This has been going on for decades. It just got easy when Trump got into office because he was not supposed to be in office.
Right. And that's what that was all about. His next
that was where the white hat.
Hillary's supposed to be right.
That's where the white hats came in, and they stopped it. Okay, it's now, that simple.
What do you say? What do you think the remedy is to stop this Child Protective Services from doing what they're doing? And they're stealing our kids. There are more CPS agents in this country than there are IRS agents. So think about that first of all. By double the amount. The state of Maine has been called the leader in abuse and neglect, which is a laughable joke. So there must be something going on up here because all they're doing by doing that is increasing the number of kids that they're taking in. Every year there's been a 4% increase. The national averages, as they get more social workers, they're taking more kids. The Title IV funding says that money is supposed to go to reunification efforts, not to take your children. It wasn't until the Safe Families Act when Clinton's put that money on it saying, get these kids out, we give you more money. Adopt these kids, we get you more money. And why wouldn't they have, right? Because they're going to Epstein Island, enjoying the fruits of their labors. You know, but these numbers, but why are the politicians not taking this stuff back? This is damaging the American family.
How many of them have been compromised or bribed?
All of them.
Put it that way. Now, did you see my team member, Kurt Pendergrass, what he put out?
I did. We talked about it earlier a little bit about the
Are you able to bring it up?
I can. Where do we want to pull that up from?
I put it up on Facebook.
Okay, let me pull you up your Facebook here. Okay. Boop. Okay. Constitutional. It's your constitutional law or law of lawful justice one?
Lawful justice.
Okay.
Yeah, Constitutional Law Group has been
disbanded.
No, it's not banned. What happened was when I went to jail, it got taken over and I can't get it back.
Hey, Van Howie.
That stuff I had on there, I can't even access my own site.
Rick, do you know Van Howie?
Sounds familiar.
They're on your thing. They're asking to be brought into this show here that they're watching. You want to give them a shot at this?
Go for it.
All right.
What do we have to lose? I only tell the truth.
That's right. Here we go, guys. Come on in. This is your link. Hop on in. We'll let you guys in. All right, Rick, where did you want me to go in here? I'm on your site here, and I'll pull it up on the screen.
Go down what I've posted. Go down to Kurt Pendergrass's deal. You'll see him on there.
All right. He's the bearded guy, no?
No,
that's David Clements. Okay. Kurt Pendergrass is...
It's a little quick spot.
Okay. The Sussex Sheriff lawmakers react to our court decision?
No, not that one. It should be above that one.
Above that one. All right. Let's see. There's the sheriff, the picture of the sheriff. The anti-government patriot movement takes up Delaware Sheriff's Crusade.
No, that's what we were talking about earlier. It should be above that.
Okay, that's the video with the holy shout, we found ourselves a lawyer.
There it is.
All right, let's pull him
He's
up.
part of my team.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, he's part of my team.
Okay, let's pull him up. Let's see what this says here. Let me stop this, and we'll pull him right up here. Let's see this video here. Get this going here. All right, Facebook. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at what this guy says. All right, play this, baby.
You might want to take notes on this because this is what we've been talking about for a while. I'm going to step away for a second.
Yeah.
I got to move some stuff.
Okay, we got to get the volume here. There we go.
Lock and load.
What do we got going here? There we go. There we go.
Remember, this is policy, right? Policy doesn't apply to the people. This is an usurpation of power by the governor. This is subversion of law, sedition, and it's treasonous. And I implore you all to investigate. Do an investigation whether or not to verify my claims that that's a violation of due process of law and that leads to treason. Because as our representatives, we have the power to instruct you. At the very least, it is an emoluments violation. It is an embezzlement. Title 18, subsection 643. We cannot pay people, public servants, to trespass the law. Our rights are unalienable. They're not to be touched. They're not to be looked at. They're not to be trespassed on because they are our property. I'm not sure if you folks are
Corner started from the beginning. There we go.
E-Clause LLC. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. You guys have been shammed, violated your rights to due process of law, fellow injury to servant. The governor, according to Article 4, Section 9, required when he did his proclamation to call you folks into session so that we could deal with that state of emergency, because that's the power that properly belongs to the legislature. Natural rights and civil rights have nothing to do with the establishment, support, or management of government. That would be American Jurisprudence, Volume 15, Civil Rights, Section 2. Remember, this is policy, right? Policy doesn't apply to the people. This is an usurpation of power by the governor. This is subversion of law, it's sedition, and it's treasonous. And I implore you all to investigate. Do an investigation whether or not to verify my claims that that's a violation of due process of law and that leads to treason. Because as our representatives, we have the power to instruct you. At the very least, it is an emoluments violation. It is an embezzlement. Title 18, subsection 643. We cannot pay people, public servants, to trespass the law. Our rights are unalienable. They're not to be touched. They're not to be looked at. They're not to be trespassed on because they are our property. I'm not sure if you folks are aware of the Commission on Unalienable Rights that was just created. There is a 60-page report on the Commission for Unalienable Rights. They are, in fact, our property, as our property is an aggregate of guaranteed rights. These are creator-endowed rights. Government was instituted to secure those rights from infringement. And you folks, as our representatives, have been violated by a fellow servant. And again, I implore you to do an investigation to verify my claims. And I'd be happy to sit down with any of you and go over this law right here. This is actually the law. The legislature makes policy. The only other way to make law is through an Article 5 convention or like kind in the states. Again, our rights are not to be put to a vote, right? We all understand that, right? That you're the servants, we're the masters, we the people. It's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Not for corporations, not for a public servant. Because an emolument is any advantage, profit, or gain received due to one's position of employment or upholding of office. You use your position as an advantage. Say John Doe Pharmaceuticals is paying you $25,000 to vote a certain way, push a certain bill. That is an emoluments violation.
Thank you.
My name is Kirk Pendergrass.
Wow.
I'm with Kirk's Law Corner LLC and E-Clause LLC.
That's nuts. I mean, he just told him how it was, man.
Exactly.
You know, like that's just crazy.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's what Constitutional Law Group, that's what we've been around for since 1996. Longer than most of you guys have been around, but at the same point, we saw the problem way back in 1996. And what happened back in 1996 is in the state of Texas, they basically changed the whole traffic code without even having a vote from the legislation. So they recodified it unlawfully in 1996. And that's when they started pushing DWIs big time.
Yep.
And you got to realize DWIs is the biggest money maker for the state of Texas. The next after that is driving on a suspended license. Now you got to realize the state of Texas, I've got the figures going back, I have them from 2016. The state of Texas made over $900 million on traffic citations alone.
Wow. Holy smokes. That's just insanity.
Yeah. And who's the one that pays for it? You've got these fee chasers, and that's what these traffic cops are, is they're road pirates. That's all they are. My brother, when he was a state trooper, his duty was to write 90 tickets a month.
Man.
That was his quota.
Man.
That means he's got to write 3 a day, or he spends like my brother did. He had a place that he called his honey hole. It was a like 90-degree turn that went from 55 to 35 that quick, and he would sit behind these trees as they were making the turn, and he would pull people over. He said he wrote 70 tickets in one day, just sitting at that one spot. So he had half his quota done, or more than half his quota done, in one day. So the rest of the time he can go fuck off and eat donuts and
Yeah, that's just it, man. That's it. Hey, Rick, we're going to take.
These cops don't even realize that they're being used as cannon fodder, because who actually makes out when you pay these tickets?
It's crazy.
The court system,
Exactly.
not the cops.
Unbelievable. Hey, Rick,
and these cops don't know better.
no,
I'm sorry.
no.
Ahead.
The cops. It's just insane that there are so many policies, rules, regulations, things that have been put into play that is taken away from us.
Don't apply.
Right, but yet we're dishing out the cash. We're handing the money over. We're saying, hey, yes, sir, Mr. Officer. Let me just open up my checkbook for you and just pay this for you. And we're getting poorer and they're getting richer. We're going to take one more break here, Rick, and then we'll come back and we'll finish this up. I'm going to play this video here. This video here, I wasn't going to do this today, but I'm going to. This just shows what goes on when they break the family down, when they do this. This is my video, the first video that I put out when my daughter was taken. I just want to play this. I want people to see this.
Go for it.
And then you can understand this too.
Do you have a picture of my license plate?
Oh, I have the "Don't Tread on Me" is what you got on there, buddy. I'll pull those up. Let me see here.
Yeah, show a picture of my license plate.
Sure, I'll pull that right up here.
I haven't had a driver's license or put license plates on my automobiles, and they are automobiles, since 2001. 2001, my driver's license expired. But what do we say about contract law? If there's not full disclosure, is that contract valid or is it void?
That would be void, correct?
Void ab initio.
Yes, from the start. And I've been an advocate. I have been an advocate of the void ab initio because I think the void ab initio is the way that we're going to beat these CPS stories to get all of our kids home. I'm a firm believer in that. And, what you're watching with the void ab initio thing is you're seeing them trying to turn that into a void judgment, avoidable judgment, or these things, which is a completely different argument. Void ab initio doesn't need to be adjudicated. For instance, so like it's
void from its inception.
Correct. So it doesn't,
just like you go back to Marbury versus Madison. Mm-hmm. Any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is no law, has no force of law, and can be ignored.
There's your plate right there, right, Rick?
That's one of them. Yes, it is.
Do you also have the American flag one too, right? Are these all yours here?
No, I've got the one that's in black that's on my Porsche.
Let me see if I can find a picture of yours, your Porsche one here. Rick Martin.
Oh, by the way, that Porsche was paid for by Harris County. That's Houston, Texas. The fourth largest city in the nation, the third largest county in the nation, and I beat their asses, and they were the ones that paid for my my Porsche.
That's awesome.
For one night in jail. And they settled out of court with me.
Now, that's what people have to do with these indemnity bonds and everything, correct?
Yeah, go after their bonds.
Here we go. You got this one here, I believe. This is the one. Now, where can people get these plates, Rick? They order them online, or what do they do with these?
Oh, you can find them on Amazon, I'm sure. I think I paid like maybe $8 a piece for them.
And what do those do for you when you have them on your vehicle?
Well, the bottom line is, if I have regular license plates on there, the cops automatically assume that I'm in commerce.
Okay.
When I put that up there, it dispels that I'm in commerce.
Okay. Here we go. There we go. Right there.
They don't have a right to pull me over.
There they are. That's the one, right?
No, that's not me.
That's not you either. Huh? I keep searching for you, but they let me see what other ones they come up with for you. Let's go to images here. Because I think that you can see the ones that I put down. That's you. Here we go. Let's put this up here. Let's see if we'll be lucky enough to allow it to push its way through here. Might give me some flack because I tried to start it midway. No, still, there we go.
There it is.
There we go.
Without this. This is
That's
book,
on my Lexus there.
And if you read down below, public note, public servant officer, it pretty much says to him.
Is the volume up, Rick? Can you hear the volume?
You're losing potato chips.
I can hear it just fine.
But when a cop
for some reason when I play
the
these,
first thing I do is I ask him, "What's your emergency and how may I assist you?" And he's going to ask for my driver's license and insurance or whatever. And I said, "Well, before we go there, I need you to fill this out." And I take that sheet of paper out of there and hand it to him. Before we can go any further, fill this out. Once he reads this, it already puts him on notice that I'm not playing games with him. And then you open up the book, and that is so poignant. And here's the case I won against Harris County. Harris County, I always take my name out because I'm not going to give my name until you can give me what's called, and police always call it, it's RAS. What's your RAS? And they automatically assume I'm a cop because I'm using their lingo. And what RAS stands for, reasonable articulable suspicion that I've committed a crime. Okay, you have that? Okay, what's your SAF? Single articulable fact. Well, you don't have that either? Okay, you've just basically said that there's no reason to pull me over because you haven't seen a crime. Okay, here's the case I won against Harris County. You can see the stamps and date, and they ended up buying me a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo all-wheel drive convertible with them pulling me over and letting me spend the night in jail. So, and here's the lawsuit, and I've got these for everybody to see, and you can see that it's all put together. And there it is, signed by the DA and stamped, showing they lost the case.
And they lost it, and they paid
and
you
I
what?
sued them.
And what did you win?
$250,000 for a night in jail.
It was actually $280,000.
Says no license necessary to drive an automobile public highways. Now these are all documented.
Man.
So what this is called stare decisis.
Now you keep that binder in the car with you, right?
A case that's already been won in the Supreme Court.
How many times have you been stopped?
They're in violation of their oath of office when they don't pay attention. License plate doesn't.
Harris County bought me my Porsche.
The license plate alone.
My two Escalades were paid for by Montgomery County, Texas, and the Lexus was paid for by San Jacinto County, Texas.
I'm not engaged in commerce.
So Texas loves you.
Give them the authority to pull me over.
They know better than to pull me over.
Where do you see that I'm engaged in commerce? What gave you that?
Now, do all states recognize this
that I'm engaged in commerce? You have the right to.
I've been through every state. The only state that's fucked with me was Michigan. But even in Michigan, I got pulled over by the state troopers doing 130 because I had a talk show I had to do, and I was doing 130 because I had a 3-hour trip to get there, and I had to be there quicker than that.
What is it? Shuttle.
And I was let go. At 130 miles an hour when I passed the state trooper.
Wow. A license is to do something.
He pulled me over.
Immoral.
He says, "I know who you are, Mr. Martin. Do you think you can slow it down a little bit?" Actually, he said, "Don't you think 128 is a little absurd?" And I'm like, "Oh, I thought I was doing 130."
Nothing immoral about leaving my house to go get a gallon of milk. I only need a license if I'm using the public property. The roadways are public, and they're paid for by the
that Lexus will do 130 without even thinking twice.
Wow.
So when you get into the law, this is what scares most cops.
Well, good thing you bought those with cash, right?
The wind would stop for 1 second.
Paid cash for it.
This is what most cops don't like.
Paid cash for the Porsche.
It's non-emergency
use.
use.
Well, the way that they've strained your
paid cash for my two Escalades.
Right, well, I'm saying that because they've locked your bank accounts, right? Isn't that what they've done to you?
Over for a traffic violation.
Yeah, they froze up my bank account, shut off my credit cards. I was one of the few people that had a black American Express card. Do you know what that is?
I know very well what that is.
My brothers, I'm going to put this away real quick.
They froze up all my accounts, shut off my credit cards, figuring they could bankrupt me and I wouldn't fight back. I'll tell you right now, I got like 73 cents in my account. That's no bullshit.
And you're going to love this. This is out of their own law books. This is the LexisNexis.
Doesn't it seem like all of us freedom fighters, we have
under
no money,
Section
right? We just keep going and going though. Like, they're not
Well,
gonna stop this.
Registration by political.
They tried to do the same thing to Dr. Dave Martin. They've done the same thing. They threw Dr. Simone Gold in prison. They've thrown Dr. Judy Milkovich in prison. She was in prison for 180 days.
Register
in solitary confinement.
Motor vehicle registration fee.
So yeah,
or pay occupational tax or license fee in the connection with the Wow. This section does not affect the authority.
That's out of their own law book. You see what I'm reading?
Right here.
Sure do.
License and regulate the use of a motor vehicle for compensation. So if I'm not engaged in compensation, being paid to go from point A to point B, I don't need a driver's license.
Crazy.
I don't need to register my automobile. And it is an automobile.
Massachusetts?
All traffic codes are pretty similar because they're all federal. They're pretty much the
There's
same.
a copy of Massachusetts.
Yeah. It's going. You can
online?
find it, and I will tell you. You go to like Amazon or eBay and buy a used.
Okay, you remember the guy that made fun of me doing this video?
Okay.
He never showed what I was showing in the law book.
Charge for the
he was only showing what I pulled out of my binder.
Okay.
All right.
Used to transport
what a chicken
passengers
shit.
for
So he wasn't showing
compensation.
what
So
the
who
truth
needs
said,
a driver's license? A taxi driver.
That's straight out of the Lexus Nexus.
Anybody that's
Texas.
engaged in
Lexus
making money
Nexus.
using the public
Traffic.
property.
And criminal law.
Don't go anywhere without this.
That's crazy, man. That's freaking crazy. I mean, that's it, man. That's the
See,
truth.
everybody wants to criticize. Everybody wants to criticize, my brother. But when I bring out the law book, why the fuck, pardon my French, ladies and gentlemen, why don't they bring that part into the video? Why don't they do it?
That's you know the why. We all know the answer. Why? It's the corruption. Hey, we're gonna take one more.
It's all about discrediting me, make me look like I'm some Yoko Loco that doesn't know what I'm talking about when I bring out their own law book and I show the evidence that I must be engaged in commerce.
No cameras then. No cameras then for the facts.
Yeah. Why don't you go and look up all those people that made fun of that video and said I was full of shit. I was one of those patriot fools. Why don't they show it?
And where's their apology?
There isn't one because they're criminals.
Now watch this.
They're probably pedophiles, stealing your kids, trying to make me look like a joke.
Now watch this. This is
the biggest joke about me is take away the fact that I put 16 judges in prison, 22 prosecutors, 3 CPS agents, and 38 cops behind prison walls, and I got 5 judges right now, 3 prosecutors, and God knows how many cops in my crosshairs right now in Michigan.
Beautiful. Well, we need to get some work on this one right here, Rick. I want you to take a
I
look at this
intend to
video.
embarrass.
I'm going to step aside from this one.
Embarrass this government entity to the very core.
Something needs to be done because it's not right that they can just go ahead and remove your kid. And I mean, our daughter hasn't even been away from us for more than a day or two, or an hour or two, let alone 2 weeks now. And this just isn't right. And the facts prove it.
I will make sure that my daughter has nothing but the best for the remainder of her life. This kid had the world by every aspect that you possibly could. She was given every chance to become whatever she wanted. We talk daily about her becoming an astronaut or a pilot or, something that was just an amazing feat for her. And she knew the sky wasn't just her limit, man. Space was. And my word is, the only thing she needs to be the best for the rest of her life is her mother and I. So let's do the right thing.
It gives them the right, some guardian alignment that she's spoken with her maybe once, twice, 3 times that she's
a vendetta, an homage. I don't know what you want to call it, but she's got something under her that's driving her to remove this kid from our lives. Well, you know, she's inexperienced. Inexperienced is what you're going to toss this to? You're going to give an inexperienced person the keys to my world, my heart, our everything? Inexperienced is people that burn a pizza. Inexperience is bumping your car into something else, you know, because you're an inexperienced driver. Introduced as a third wheel into a kinship family, which I'm thankful for, but that's not her own. She's not with her own mom and dad. She's not even allowed to have her own things. Kaylee Leedy doesn't allow her to have gifts from us. Kaylee Leedy doesn't allow her to even take home simple food things from us when she visits us. It is brutal. Absolutely brutal not having Nina here in my life right now. I would rather sit behind a jail cell door and wait until that moment that I can be with my family again, and that would at least be something. But to sit here and know that she's the one that's suffering, this punishment isn't in my behalf, this is on hers. Now, I made a mistake. What CPS has done and are doing to our family is tearing us apart. In the framework of the investigation, it states clearly, do not recommend further investigation of this family. So why was it taken to that level? And why was it that my daughter was in such imminent danger that it took 8 days for the department to come and pick up my child after being ruled imminent danger? Tell me this. If you lie, you cheat, you steal, I don't want you in my life. DHS is full of that. I don't want them in my life. Help me get them out of my life. Because these people are people that I don't want to be around. I don't want them to have my daughter, get Nina, out of our home and put her in a place that they screened. Do you know how long they screened? They screened her. They screened the family for no more than 2 hours prior. It took me 32 minutes to pull up the history of this family and find out that they operated under voyeur cameras, had porn websites, had all kinds of things going on there, that their kids that they had living there had witnessed their father get murdered by their mother, their faces stabbed off, they burnt the house down that they were living in, and this is where they put my 3-year-old daughter that was in imminent danger. Think about the things that Nina has seen now that we shadowed her from and sheltered her so that she never had to go through these things. Tell me now who needs to get the stanchion. Tell me now who's committing the acts of neglect and abuse. Tell me now. Tell me now who's going to look at Nina in the face. Tell her that she can trust her dad and her mom, and it was their mistake. I can only count to 4. I can only count to 4. Nina. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nina fell on the floor. Where you fall? Pick. Just don't be alone. What do we got to do to that, buddy? Huh? Meaners. Meaners. Hey, Nina. Hey, look it. What we got to do? What we got to do to you, boo-boo? How are we going to fix it? You going to put the Band-Aid on? Okay. What else do we need to have? Some chocolate? Should we call Mommy and get a slushie?
And that's what those bastards took from me. And that's why I fight every day, man. That's exactly why I fight. That's what I'm fighting for. And I need help here in Maine, Rick. But Rick, let's get this thing wrapped up here. We've gone over a little bit. I'm going to give you the last word here, my friend. I'm going to give you the almighty your own stage. Say what you got to say, and let's do this. Here goes you, Mr. Rick. Give us the last word.
Last words. United we stand, divided we fall. And I believe in life, freedom, and justice for all. We're all accountable under our Creator. Government is our servant, not our master. And when we start holding government accountable for their corruption and their violation of their oath of office, that oath of office was put there for a reason. And that was to keep them from betraying that oath to the American people. The bonds are there. When they trespass on we the people, we need to be the first ones to stand up and say, not on my watch. Hold them accountable. Start becoming frequent visitors of your sheriff. Petition your sheriff for your grievances and say, listen, it's your duty to protect me from intrusive government. And what we're facing right now is intrusive government. A government that is not being held by the confines, the restraints of a constitution for which they swore an oath to uphold, protect, and defend. And if we want change, it's within us to make it happen. You're the one that's going to make it happen. Don't wait on others to pick up the ball and run with it. It's up to you. Pick up the ball, run with it. Make a difference. Be that voice in the wilderness that cries out, not on my watch. Courage is what people follow. The reason why people that follow me is because I show courage. I travel the country that I have. That's courage. Doing what is right, knowing it's right, and defending those rights is what people follow. That being said, God bless each and every one of us. And I bid you all farewell and a good night. And I hope there's something in there that you have been able to take from our conversation tonight and move the ball forward. And that's what we're asking. Take responsibility and move the ball forward. God bless you all.
All right, Rick, you are the man. Those words of a true freaking warrior right there, guys. Thank you all so much for watching tonight, Rick. Thank you so much. I love you, man. I'm going to keep fighting. I'll talk to you very soon. Everybody, this is it. This is the real hardcore stuff, and this is what we got to fight, America. Peace out, y'all.